Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another eHeroes edition. Hey, I know a lot of you guys are experiencing a lot of anxiety and stress today, so I brought on an expert who will help you smile through the chaos. So, welcome, Amanda Hudes. And, I'm glad you're here because I think a lot of the listeners are going to benefit.
Thank you. I hope so. We need to get people smiling, especially through these times. So,
And that's kind of hard for people like me who, live this curmudgeon lifestyle. It's a persona that I have on social media, and everybody's like, "Man, you're like the sarcastic that
you know.
that clown that sits on his porch with his shotgun. Get off my lawn!" Yeah, I can be that guy, and it just so the way I smile is a little different than the way other people smile.
You need the balance, though, right?
Yeah, well, I try, but I don't think people see the balance in me versus in others. I think some people can smile a lot better than I can, but
Or a lot easier, not better.
yeah, easier. I think I've had a lifetime of practicing of dealing with all the shit in the wrong way.
Hmm.
And but you know we're coming through this now 8 or 9 month period of pure chaos with this pandemic, and people are wondering what the heck are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to act? And all the people who have tried to get married over the last 8 or 9 months with their governors, or as I like to say in Pennsylvania, our dictator, making all these rules that don't make sense, and then they throw everything in pandemonium. It's so your whole uh, way of living is just to smile through all that, and for some that is asking them a lot. I mean, it's just
I think for everyone right now, even for me, and I'm naturally someone who smiles a lot, there are challenges. So I understand how it can be challenging for other people, even more so than myself. And that's why it's been a mission for me through this time to get out there and reach more and more people because I know it's so necessary right now,
mhm,
especially.
yeah. But there are people that they think maybe you have an agenda when you smile too much.
Oh, completely. I grew up with a mother who smiled at everyone, very friendly. She's just that way. And she said, growing up, also, people sometimes would think she was flirting, and she wasn't flirting. She was just friendly. And I then was the same way. And, people took it the wrong way, but that's just our personality. And actually, we both have been asked what's wrong when we're not smiling. And it puts a pressure on because and actually, I was asked one time, does your business name put a pressure on you as well? Smiling through chaos. Do you always have to be smiling? And in the beginning, I was like, actually, I do feel that way. But now it's just we're human too. I'm just able to, if I start to get frustrated or start to get stressed, I have to take myself back and go, okay, what's the solution?
Yeah.
What can I
I've
do to help?
for years I was, even my wife and kids called me this Vulcan because I showed no emotion, never smiled, and it's funny because it's one of the things that I teach lawyers and doctors because they've all gone to the same Vulcan school of no emotion, and I'm
Right.
I'm teaching them how to be, better using social media, how to get their personality to shine.
Hmm.
But men seem to hold that chaos in a little bit differently than women. And
Yes.
women can smile through all of it. Men just like, "Grr, get away from me.
Well, women also, especially getting married, some of them have, I mean, they'll let it out in different ways.
Yeah.
So everyone has something that makes them tick, something that makes them extra stressed. And uh, my clients have said to me, I couldn't imagine going through this without you during this time. And I've said, I can't imagine if I was going through this time with either an inexperienced planner who just was like new, the cheapest, I couldn't imagine, or doing it alone because I know what I've been through for my clients over the past 9 months or so. So I
So
just couldn't even imagine.
let's talk about your wedding planning. And you hit on a word that I like to, kid with people, because I always tell people, stop being the cheapest.
Right.
Um, and so you're providing this service, but you're not cheap,
Right.
and you're trying to get them to stay within that balance of smiling through all this, chaos. And how did you get started in all this? Because honestly, I think wedding planning, I see the movies, they're great,
The Jennifer
yeah,
Lopez.
that always happy endings, and
Mhm.
but going through the process, with my daughter, it's, to me, that was just more chaos than I ever wanted.
Like, you have to be a crazy person to want to do this? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
not in those words, but yeah.
So I totally agree that if you are in this business still, you must really love your job, because throughout all this, it was a very easy time to just go, you know what? It's too much. Let me change careers.
Mhm.
For me, I left the corporate world almost 5 years ago and started doing this full time instead of on the side, because I don't get so stressed doing planning and creating and creating those timelines for people, staying organized. I love it so much that of course there are certain aspects of it that stress me out, but it excites me more than it stresses me. And the fact that people do get so stressed thinking about it excites me even more, because I can help them. And I'm a helper, I'm a healer, and that's who I am. That's my family, that's how I was raised. So it it's amazing to me that through this time I'm still able to help people through
Mhm.
their biggest day and events.
Is there things that you try to do to help, your clients, whether it be the bride, the bride's mother, cope with all the anxiety?
Yeah, well, forward thinking is very, very important right now. Not thinking about listen, we have different rules every day. It's very hard to be able to say tomorrow. What I had someone yesterday say, well, would you want to fly down in May? And I'm like, I don't know what May is going to look like. It's really challenging to be able to say, which normal times I'd be like, yes or no, right?
Yeah.
For that date. So forming these relationships with your clients and with the parents and with the whoever's involved is always important, but especially right now, because you have to build that trust. And as long as they know you have everything under control, whatever you can at this time, and they trust you, it's such a smoother process. It just it's just fun. That's what I want it to be for them. And if anything starts to stress, I am very big about watching people's emotion, like how they are reacting, listening to them. And if I feel like they're starting to get stressed, I'll say, let's take a step back, think about why you want this, or what your budget is, depending on what their stress is. And then let's figure out different options, and here's some solutions. That it always has to be solution oriented. If we don't have the answer right now, it's okay.
Mhm.
And I'm a planner. I don't like to do things last minute, but if it has to be, I've basically changed weddings and events at the last second because we've had to at this time, but also in order to make sure people don't feel like they're settling, and instead adding elements to keep them excited.
Yeah.
So it's about just keeping people excited, overjoyed, not letting the stress take over them.
Right. And you mentioned that, one of the words that I love to use is trust. And without that trust, people aren't going to, listen to you.
Right?
And so, they're already stressed out, they're already anxious, they're already frustrated and aggravated. And if they don't trust you, nothing that you say,
Right.
is going to get through them. But because the fact that they trust you, and you're doing everything in your power to ease them,
Mhm.
you know, now they're like, oh, okay, whatever you want to do.
And it's not easy. I mean, I don't personally think it's easy to just trust someone to just, but I say your planner is your closest relationship. So if you don't feel a trust from the start, don't hire that person. You don't, that's why, again, you don't go back to who's the cheapest, who's going to give me the most hours. You go with who you get that really strong feeling and connection with and who you trust. And then you can have such an easier process. And I didn't used to have that as much, and I've built that as I've grown my business, where I know from the very start it's about the relationship, 100%, and about them knowing what you've done in the past. Do they trust your aesthetic? Do they trust, I'm big about color schemes and color stories and all of that. So more and more people have been coming to me for full planning instead of just the coordination, because they trust, they have that already. Or word of mouth, they trust because they trust their friends or the family who worked with me before.
Mhm.
But I have said in the very beginning, if you can't trust me, it's very hard for me to provide you with everything that will make your event spectacular. Even if they don't let me in, how do I get to know them to know even what kind of story to give them as an option if I don't know who they are?
Now, you had mentioned about flying. Do you fly a lot of places?
So right now, no.
No. Oh.
If it's a big event and it makes sense, I will fly.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I stay New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And have you gotten in problems with airlines? I mean, because I know every time I fly, there's always some delay. And if I ever fly into Chicago, which I try to avoid now, I mean, I had a 27-hour layover there, and I'll never go there
Oh,
again. So,
airlines are being very nice right now, at least with crediting
mhm,
and providing, future dates for you. But do I love flying in general? I've never loved flying because my ears have always hurt. I've gotten nauseous. I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world. But if it makes sense, you do it.
right.
And people, again, if you build that relationship and people want you there, if they have the budget to be able to fly you there, if they have the budget to be able to have you stay over, again, that's a conversation from the very start, because I'm very transparent. I'm all about communication. Again, trust. If you don't do that, I've worked with people before who've like, this is the price. And then they'll tack on this, tack on this. I'm like, you should have said this from the very start,
Yeah.
because now I don't trust you as much.
Right. Yeah. They give you this a la carte menu that you can pick from, and then they upsell it somehow in their head. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what we agreed on.
And travel and taxes. And so I'm very beginning. This, how far is it? This will be the travel. This, or there is no travel, depending. I'm very fair. I take pride in being a good person, not just being a planner.
Right.
It goes with smiling through chaos. Every time I have a new client, I donate to charity. I really believe strongly, if you really love helping people, then you love helping people in multiple ways. You don't just, it's not all about the money. Of course, you need to make a living, you need to have a standard of living, but you need to do so much more in life because it's not just about you.
Right. And it's not always about just smiling. I like to see faces, and when I go out, I can't stand people wearing masks. Yeah, yeah, your governor told you that for all these reasons you have to wear 'em. But honestly, when I see someone in a mask, I don't trust them.
But
And
I have to wear a
and
mask.
yeah, it's like I can't see your rep. I can't see if they're smiling. I can't see if they're frowning. I can't. It's
Oh,
like,
you can see the smiles. Watch my eyes. You see the smiles?
yeah, but I can see it from you, but people can't see it from me because I just I'm like the poker face.
Okay.
And so for me, it's all about seeing that facial
Right,
feature,
right,
that
right.
the whole story in their face, and you can tell, how they're feeling based on their
Mhm.
smile or their lack of smile. And you know so when I go to a mall, I look at all these people, and they're like drones. They're just walking around. They all have the same facial feature. and you can't see their mouth, but
You ever try to smile at someone with math? It's funny. I walk past people and we smile at each other, and then in my head I'm like, was it pointless to smile? Like, do
yeah,
they know I just smiled at them? But you can see it a little bit, and it's almost like a courtesy smile when you're passing someone. That at least we still are in the same boat of still wanting to smile at each
right.
other,
No,
because that right now we're all like, yes, exactly, like these poker faces that you can't. When someone smiles at you, it makes you happier. If we take that away, and now we're going into winter,
yeah,
we're just becoming zombies.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that is part of why Zoom is so important, and video online and all of that, because we're still able to see emotion. Could you imagine if all the time?
Yeah. So with your business being, a planner,
Yeah.
I'm sure you do these Zooms all the time, or you
Yeah.
do some type of electronic communication. Is that better or worse than meeting them face to face?
So I try to still meet them face to face with certain meetings.
Mhm.
So let's say we talk a lot over Zoom or FaceTime, and then we will have a tasting, or we'll go see a florist. We'll wear masks and we'll social distance, and you know, we do what we have to do right now. We'll go to a venue, walk through, but we're still able to see each other this way. And then when we're together, we know who we each other are at that point, and we have our masks on. So it's still, I like both. It's hard for me because I'm a natural hugger, that when I see my clients, to not hug them hello or goodbye is very challenging, especially when I've had these clients throughout, and then the pandemic started, and then I saw them again and I couldn't hug them. And then on their wedding day, I couldn't hug them. It's that is a really big challenge because you've been through so much at that point. You just want to be like, I wish you the best life and let me know when your next event is, and all that. And you're just like, this pump.
Yeah, I'm not a natural hugger. However, when I
You're
see
not a
people,
natural hugger? That shocked me just now.
but when I see grumpy people on the street, I'll say, "Come on, give me a hug," and they just look at you like you're the most insane person in the world, and they just scurry off. And so it's a fun game I have.
But that makes you smile, I bet.
It does make me smile. Yeah, when you get old like me and grumpy, you got to have these fun games that you play on people, and but it makes life more enjoyable.
What's so funny is my mom's a naturally smiley person. My dad is like thinks he's hilarious, so he smiles with that. But I call him Grumpy Grandpa because he just has that naturally, like, yeah. And I think it's hilarious because my parents have a great marriage. That's why I say you need that balance, right? Of having, hopefully, you have a lot of people around you who help you smile.
Yeah, it's
You need,
yeah.
you need it, or watch really funny television or
I
movies.
I watch a lot of weird stuff sometimes. Uh,
Do I want to ask?
well, I like sci-fi, and I
Okay.
like one of my favorite characters is Jack O'Neill from Stargate. Very sarcastic guy.
Okay.
And but people are like, well, what the heck, Stargate? I'm like, dude, come, what? So it's you know, or
You
even more.
probably would have liked, I don't know if you used to watch it, but Lie to Me.
Oh
Did
yeah,
you used to watch the show? Okay. I loved that show.
yeah, and for you, I think that would be great because you have this character that can analyze people's faces with their micro expressions and see if they're lying.
Right.
With you, you glance out at these, the parties in your planning, uh, whether it be at weddings or
Any
I
kind
guess,
of event.
yeah,
Yep.
any kind of event, and you can see by their expression if they need help.
Yes.
And I think
Well,
that's
I'm
a
also
cool.
a health counselor and a behavior change specialist, and I'm certified in so many different areas that, and I'm also very intuitive. So I've always been that way where I see someone's face and I'm like, are you okay? Or the body language. I worked for a therapy practice for a little while, and I said to one of the therapists at the holiday party I had created, and I just went up to her and I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm smiling and I'm having fun with everyone. How did you know something was wrong?" I just got a feeling. I had to ask. She started breaking down and crying with me.
Yeah, see,
You just
uh,
have to be in tune with the people around you.
and see, that's a great superpower to have because now you can connect with everybody.
Right.
One of my superpowers is, I can go anywhere, all over the world I've been, and I can strike up conversations with anybody. And my wife and my kids are like, "Who is he talking to?" Yeah, Dad, you make friends everywhere. Yeah, that's how it is.
That's
But
awesome.
but you know, you have to. I think you look at people and you just jump right in their conversations. You say hi, and that's where how you meet friends. You know,
You know what? One time years ago, I was in Whole Foods and I was on a first date with someone not successful.
at Whole
Um,
Foods.
at Whole Foods. No, we were on a date and then we went to stop and get something from Whole Foods in the city. But yeah, the Whole Foods wasn't the date. But Mark Cuban was in front of us and I didn't know. We were talking and Mark Cuban turned around and he started interjecting with our conversation. And he was like, "Actually, she's right." And we were talking about nutrition. I do have a nutrition background. And it was funny because I was just like, oh, like if you hear something, I'm like that too. If you hear people having a conversation and you know something is totally wrong or they have the wrong facts, you just like, oh, have to interject.
Yeah, I was in San Francisco. I was at an event, and one guy came up to me and he's like, "Rob, you're such an asshole."
What do you mean?
I'm like, "Thank you very much." But funny thing is that we became fast friends, and I interviewed him, and he's a dynamic person, and he follows me, and he bought my books, and so yeah, sometimes I can be, but I'm going to turn it around, and you're going to find that maybe I'm really not.
But you know what? The word bitch, I actually do not get offended. I think that's a great word. and and I am proud to be able to be that way when I have to be because I defend people and I stand up for people and I negotiate for my clients and if I couldn't be that way, I don't think I'd be as good at my job. I don't think I'd be as good of a person and as good of a mom and a friend and a wife if I wasn't. So some people look at it as a really bad word. I'm like, I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, because to your clients, you're Wonder Woman. You're
That's
doing
what I
all
was
this.
for Halloween.
I can see that. But you're going to get called lots of names. Everybody out there. And as an entrepreneur, you're going to be called things that are worse than what we mentioned here on the show. Um, but you just have to shrug it off. You have to have thick skin. You have to smile through the whole thing, and you can't let it bother you. And
You
and
have to
and
know who you are.
yeah,
Before you become an entrepreneur, you better know who you are and who you want to become and what you're going to take, what you're going to believe also. Because, correct, even social media, you can put things out there. If you're going to believe every comment that's written below or that's spoken about you, I mean, can you really care enough to really let it impact you? I know who I am. I know what I represent and who. So I'm like, if you love me, that's awesome. And I can't wait to get to know you. And if you don't like me, that's okay too, because we're not all going to be a fit for each other.
right. And I think that's one of the key elements that I try to explain to the listeners is that you have to know who your avatar is. That person, that client who's out there that fits that specific idea of who you want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't, and you try to force that relationship,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't
And
work on so many levels. It doesn't work with the relationship. It doesn't work probably what you're providing is probably not that same idea of what their expectations are. I mean, like for me, why people come to me for full planning is every event is different. and I'm always creating something new. Not a cookie cutter kind of person. I don't do the same thing for everyone. So when I have someone coming and being like, I like this that you did of this, I can change it. I can do something similar or that a little bit more about their personality, but has that same aesthetic. That's fine. But not to be exact. And if they want that, then they should go to someone who does the same thing for everyone. That's who they are. So it has to be a match in order for it to be successful, and in order for them to really be wowed by it.
Right. So how do people get a hold of you? I mean, do you have a website? Do you LinkedIn? What did they do?
So my website is smilingthroughchaos.com, CHAOS. A lot of people spell chaos wrong. And my Instagram, Facebook, everything is at Smiling Through Chaos.
It's pretty easy to remember, unless you don't know how to spell smiling because you're grumpy like me.
Or through. People ask me about through. Is it really spelled out? I'm like, yes.
I think mine would be grumpy through chaos.
Grumpy what?
Through chaos.
Well, that's not helpful. We need to be happy.
All right. You know, it's funny. I have a shirt. It's not on me, but I have a Disney shirt, and it's I think Donald Duck, and it says, "This is my happy face," and he's like all grumpy, and so.
Well, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make you smile more.
I can smile. People don't.
You're like, I am smiling.
I am smiling. Yeah. I am Groot. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. See, I can smile. It's just I don't want. It's too hard.
See, for me, it's harder to frown. And I think it's a habit. I think just like anything else, if you want to create a habit, you have to practice it.
Yeah.
Practice smiling at people you pass by, even if you're wearing a mask.
Yeah.
No.
See, now you got me smiling, and I don't know. My audience is going to say, "Wow, that's weird."
Like, who is he becoming? Yeah. Is she changing him?
Yeah, just like that, in 30 minutes or less, you can have someone smiling.
I'm all about it. Don't you like? For me, if I'm having a great day, I'm projecting that out to people, and then they're projecting out to the next person, and we're creating a happier environment for people. So I don't just look at it as for myself. I look at it as if I'm smiling to somebody else, they're smiling to somebody else, and they could possibly be making a huge difference in that person's life. Just that one smile.
See, it's like the butterfly effect.
Yes, completely. Dominoes.
So, all her smiles counteract my frown. So it balances.
It's about the balance.
See, this is a great show, and for all the listeners out there, I want you guys all to go to our website, whether or not you're getting married. Hopefully some of you are, but maybe if you're planning an event, you always need someone who is going to help balance the whole thing, because I went through a lot planning my daughter's wedding, and then the whole thing kind of got thrown to the wayside, and we had to throw everything together really quickly, and we had 2 weeks to do it. So, to me, I think I'd rather just pay the a person like Amanda to do it, because I don't have to deal with it.
Right. What is the lack of stress worth to you, right?
Sure.
And some planners, there are planners out there who are very huge investment. Mm-hmm. And then there are some who are just starting, and it's about finding what works for you, what works in your budget, what works with the personality mix, and taking all of those into as factors instead of just one.
Right. And here's the thing is that every one of you has your own unique superpower, that you're out there, making sales, doing whatever, talking to clients. You don't have time to be dropping everything to try to rearrange a plan that didn't go through. This is why you need Amanda. This is why you need someone to direct everything so you can focus on what you're really good at.
Yes. And people don't realize how many hours it takes, because it is a lot of hours.
Yeah, and she smiles through the whole thing. So go to our site, smilingthroughchaos.com. Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.
Thank you.